broadcasting across the state of Wisconsin on the Civic Media Radio Network and around the world on the Civic Media app. This is the Dom Salvia Show. And now, here's your host, Dom Salvia.
And welcome to the Dom Salvia Show. Thank you so much for tuning in, listening, but you can also be a part, contribute at 855-752-4842, 855-75. Civic got Jess PS working hard on the board for you today. Happy Friday, Jess.
Happy Friday, Dom. We made it.
We made it. Well, we're not done yet. We got a couple
But this
hours.
is the first Friday in 3 weeks that we're doing a show.
I know, 5 days this week, man.
I know.
Man.
Really, really pushing our limits.
This is, well, efficiency. What is it? What is my peak efficiency, Jess?
4 hours a day, 4 days a week.
That's right. That's the best I can do. From then on, it's diminishing returns. But the good news is, folks, you get the best 2 hours.
That's always true.
It is true. Thank you for joining us. 855-752-4842. Lots and lots and lots of stuff to get to today. More Nazi salutes at CPAC. I mean, apparently the Republicans can't stop doing that. We have an ICE administrator has been reassigned. We're going to get to that as well. A new world order, man. The Wall Street Journal writing up what their thoughts are. And is Donald Trump going to Moscow? Maybe. Maybe that's some of the reporting I've seen. We're going to get to all that as well. The AP is suing to get access back to the White House. Go AP. Freedom of speech and all that. Freedom of the press. And locally here, we got lots of news to get to. So let's do that. As mentioned in the past, Elon Musk is getting involved in the Wisconsin Supreme Court race. And I'm not saying he's going to, support Brad Schimmel as much, because if you met Brad Schimmel, you probably wouldn't. He's just going to, go against Susan Crawford.
Sure.
Yeah. So
he will financially go against Susan Crawford.
As the Milwaukee Journal is reporting, Musk Super PAC drops $1 million into voter turnout for Supreme Court candidate Brad Schimmel. I mean, against Susan Crawford. A little bit from Daniel Bice over at the Journal Sentinel. Another $1 million, as mentioned. America PAC, an unregistered committee, spending $1 million on canvassing and field operations to aid Schimmel in his race against liberal Supreme Court candidate Susan Crawford. Folks, vote for her. The winner of the April 1st election will decide the ideological bent of the high court. Very important, so much so that the billionaire is only putting a measly $1 million into canvassing. Come on, man.
Oh, come on. That's pocket change.
Go to pocket, man. Musk has provided most of the funding for America PAC, which focuses on turning out low propensity and first-time voters. A super PAC was active in Wisconsin before November general election, helping President Donald Trump narrowly win the state. Did he, though? Did he? Did he? Cam, did he? You know I said it. I'm just kidding. 855-752-4842. The Super PAC's activity comes on top of an estimated $1.5 million in airtime that Building America's Future, another group backed by Musk, bought in recent days for TV ads in the state's 5 markets. Now, this is as a side note, as the Journal Sentinel writes here, the entry by these Musk groups in the Supreme Court race comes a little more than a week after Tesla sued the state and Outagamie County Circuit Court to overturn a decision that blocks the company from operating dealerships in the state. Tesla applied to open dealerships in Madison, Milwaukee, Glendale, and Grand Chute. Yeah, everyone else has got to abide by these rules, but not Tesla. We don't want that.
So let me get this straight. Musk's company files a lawsuit in Wisconsin.
Yes.
Is this, I don't know, potentially a lawsuit that could ultimately end up at our Supreme Court?
Ooh, maybe.
And now he's pouring money in order to oppose one candidate.
I'm sure Brad Schimmel is not for sale.
I mean, he said so.
He literally said, I am not for sale. But for lease?
But for rent?
For rent? Layaway? I'd gladly pay you now for a judge later. Overall, Building America's Future, the Wisconsin Manufacturers and Commerce and Fair Courts America have spent about $4.6 million in TV airtime around the state for the next couple of weeks. All the groups back Schimmel. Crawford has criticized this heavy spending by groups backed by Musk. Overall, Crawford's campaign raised $7.7 million, while Schimmel has received $5.1. Elon Musk is buying off Brad Schimmel, Crawford tweeted this week. Schimmel dismissed the notion at a news conference in Milwaukee yesterday. I have never met nor talked to Elon Musk. Yeah, no doubt if you did, he probably wouldn't give you any money. Have you met the man? I mean, come on, people. He's not great. No one from my team has ever talked to anyone from Elon Musk's team. He hasn't asked me for anything. I haven't told him I would do anything. No, of course. I mean, that's why it's the unwritten rule, man. You know, hey, is he a friend of mine or a friend of ours? You know what I'm saying? Forget about it. All this outside spending comes just a week after Schimmel told a Jefferson County group that he was hoping very strongly that conservative groups, including Fair Courts and Wisconsin WMC, would begin running ads in his race. Yeah, he's got his knee pads out, begging for that money. No, never did that either.
Where'd he get those knee pads?
Menards! He keeps on talking about Menards. So I guess ultimately we have not only the Doji guy, Elon Musk, and for real, people. I mean, so the guy's got money, got it, okay. But as it pertains to his efforts in government efficiency, literally, what expertise does he bring to the table? Is he a process innovator, a reformer? I mean, what is he bringing to the table? I mean, literally, there's people that are like schooled and knowledgeable of organizations and how to do these. I'm not clear that he does. I mean, I'm not sure that he did a great job on Twitter or X.
No, demonstrably.
And
no.
I mean, a lot of Nazi action going on there now. And if Twitter goes down, if the X goes down, so what? Use something else.
Go to Blue Sky.
Go to Blue Sky. Go to whatever. OnlyFans. I mean, whatever you're into. You can
Seriously.
But there's no consequence if Twitter goes down. There's a huge consequence if, some of our systems go down, anything that he and his 19-year-olds got access to. And what are their expertise, I would wonder? What are their backgrounds? Anyway, we're digressing here. But this is the guy who's in Doge, and he's also now here in the state of Wisconsin, lending his money to support a guy like Brad Schimmel, who's never met, never asked for anything. Don't worry about it. He's not for sale. You just get to rent them once in a while. 855-752-4842. Take them out for a test drive. Lease to own. You know how it goes. Come on, Brad. Daniel Bice reporting in the Journal Sentinel. We put all the notes here that our research, our information, our articles, our journalism into our show notes. Where can they find that, Jess?
They can find those at civicmedia.us.
Yeah.
Look for the Dom Salvia Show under Daily Shows. Also, find it on Spotify or Apple Podcasts.
Yeah, all over the place.
All over the place. You can also see our beautiful faces on YouTube, Facebook, or X while they still let us. Just under Civic Media.
Right. To hell with Elon Musk. Strange. Did you see he was at CPAC? I guess that was last night, yesterday. I don't even know the days anymore. He was given a chainsaw, and he was like bouncing around stage. His mind is a storm. I mean,
that explains the chainsaw memes I've been seeing today.
Yeah, I don't. One of the South American presidents, the crazy cat, I forget his name, gave him a chainsaw.
A chainsaw? Why?
Because he's cutting the red tape.
With a chainsaw?
I mean, I don't know. What? And then the social media kind of blew up. What was he like maxing out on K, taking ketamine, and just losing his freaking mind up on stage, and was up there. They had his sunglasses on, wielding a chainsaw. I mean, and I'm a big fan of Ashy Slashy from Evil Dead, but you are no
right. But
you are no Ash.
Right. That's meant to stay fiction.
Yes,
right?
That is fiction.
Correct. Okay. Just to clarify.
Yeah, so that was interesting to see as well. That guy's the guy who's putting all this money in against Susan Crawford. Say her name, Susan Crawford.
Susan Crawford. Judge Susan Crawford out of Dane County.
For Judge Susan Crawford. And she's not Brad Schimmel, thank God. 855-752-4842. What did we see yesterday? We talked about Congressman Derek Van Orden from the great state of Wisconsin, and he had a big problem with this judge who went against Elon Musk and their team and trying to get access to, I think it was the Treasury systems. And again, there's so many different angles and probes and prodding by Musk and his team and all that. There's a lot of court cases going on. So, forgive me if I mix some of them up, but I believe it was the Treasury one. And Congressman Van Orden is just incensed that this judgment went against Doge and Elon Musk and the Trump administration. And so he is very adamant on impeaching the judge. He's going to impeach the judge because you can't have that. You got to fall in line. So while he was apparently focusing his time and energy on that, and I love it. I love it, love it, love it when our local Wisconsin topics and journalists get written up on the national stage on the Raw story. We're talking about
it's always the best news when Wisconsin ends up on Raw story.
The best. I mean, it might travel the most, right? The best as in that's really interesting.
Oh, yeah.
But usually not the best for, Wisconsin citizens.
Typically not.
No, it's usually terrible governance.
So what did we have on the Raw story?
Serial killers and sports. That's what we're here for, baby. The Raw Stories headline, Republicans snub local farmers panicking about Trump's tariff chaos. Matthew Chapman wrote that. And what does he talk about? Well, he's referring to and puts a link in the Raw Story to Harry Redmond's piece at the Wisconsin Examiner. Yeah, Harry.
Hey, that's one of our sites that we go to.
You know it. Check them out at wisconsinexaminer.com. Republican lawmakers no-show as Western Wisconsin farmers complain of Trump chaos and disruption. What? No show? You can't find any time? No time? They did not appear at an event hosted by the Wisconsin Farmers Union in Chippewa Falls on Friday as farmers from across the area. So they were concerned about the effects of Trump's first month in office is having on their livelihoods. First month? I mean, wait for the second or third month. Folks, we're just getting started. And it's interesting to see, and the market tanked today, like down 1.5. It was not great. There are real concerns about inflation. There are real concerns about tariffs and what Donald Trump is threatening to do if he follows through. There are real concerns. But back to Redmond's piece briefly. We'll carry this over on the other side as well, 855-752-4842. Mark Pocan was there. State Senator Jeff Smith, he was there. State Reps Jody Emerson, there. Christian Phelps, there. Tom Tiffany, Derek Van Orden, State Reps Rob Summerfield of Bloomer. Treg, I'm not going to kill that last name. Sorry, Treg. Clint Moses and state senators Jesse James and Rob Staffshot were all invited, but did not attend or send a staff member. Now, I did check out the Wisconsin Farmers Union website, and they're probably a progressive-y organization, but you know what? They're in your district. They are farmers, and they are concerned. And where are you? Trying to impeach a judge that went against your administration? Should you be focusing at home? Come back with us, 855-752-4842. Welcome back to the Dom Salvia Show. Happy Friday to us all. You can join us on the lines, 855-752-4842, 855-75-CIVIC. Also out on the Twitters and on the Facebooks.
And the YouTubes.
And the YouTubes. James, he's on, what is that? I guess that's the Facebook. Two
streams.
viewers. Congrats on really getting the message out. Thanks, James.
Thanks for
Thomas
being one
James,
of them.
you're one of them, man. Spread the word. But, there's literally billions of people listening to us right now on the broadcast. I mean, and it goes out to space,
That's true.
Radio waves.
Mm-hmm.
We're going out forever.
Mm-hmm. The Martians are hearing us.
855-752-4842. Let's touch on this a little bit more here. Again, the Republicans totally ignoring their constituents and the farmers here in Wisconsin that are legitimately concerned about this economic plan question mark of this administration. And the markets are showing it today. The Wall Street, I mean, everywhere you look, there's not a great. Find for me one great headline about Donald Trump and his economy right now, and his efforts and his thoughts, not only on certainly tariffs as it pertains to the economics of his administration, but also a huge number of people not fond of the pardons of all the J6ers. And by the way, can you throw this? I mean, there's so much going on. I got to throw this out there.
Just a little treat for us.
Proud Boy. Remember the insurrectionist bastard Enrique Tarrio? Yeah. He was in D.C. today, and him and Stuart Rhodes from the Oath Keepers were, I don't know if they're trying to sue somebody. They're doing something. Anyway, counter-protesters showed up. Thank you, counter-protesters. Do it
Always
all the time.
do that.
Yes, please. Thank you. We appreciate your efforts. And apparently one of the counter-protesters stuck a phone a little too close to Tarrio's face, and he swatted at it and hit her phone and hit her arm, and she wanted to press charges. And so it's assault, baby. That's assault.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Now, does he have, because of the previous convictions, although pardons, is he a repeat offender? Is that going to be...
I don't know if his previous offense that he was convicted for, that he wasn't allowed to be in Washington, D.C., which is why he wasn't actually there on January 6, 2021. I don't know if that was wiped out as well by Trump in his pardons.
That was the one where they jumped the fence and burned the Black Lives Matter flag from that church.
Yeah, so I don't know if that
the very church that Donald Trump blew through with his security detail, peaceful protesters at the park to hold the Bible upside down in front of that church.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll see how it comes around a little bit. So we'll get to the details of the Tarrio thing if we need to. It's kind of it,
it's kind of just a little cupcake for us.
But it's just more the same.
Right.
Like, hey,
arrested again.
Again, sir. We have your regular stall for you. Welcome back.
Does he get a stamp for every time?
I think I voted sticker, I assaulted sticker.
Once he collects 5, what does he get a clean toilet?
No, he shouldn't. No clean toilets for Tarrio. Back to Wisconsin, because the Republicans are too busy trying to impeach judges who go against their president, not my president. So the Wisconsin Farmers Union, Chippewa Falls, a bunch of Democrats showed up, and one of them, Mr. Let's see, who is it? Christian Phelps. Christian Phelps said this: all 4 of us want you to know that there are people in elected office who want to fight for you, because I think there's a lot of fear that comes from the fact that we're seeing a lot of noise and action from people who aren't some of the people that didn't show up to this. So I hope that you will also ask questions of them when you get the chance. Pocan, our congressman from Madison, love us some Mark Pocan. He joked that Van Orden's on vacation.
Good for him, I guess. He could have sent a staff member.
He was at the insurrection as well.
He was. Mm-hmm. He was.
Now, Emerson, whose district was recently redrawn to include many of the rural areas east of Eau Claire, told Wisconsin Examiner she had just been at an event held by Oneida County Economic Development Corporation where a Van Orden staff member did attend, so she didn't understand why they couldn't hear about how Trump's policies are harming local farmers. Emerson said this: I get that a member of Congress can't be at every meeting all the time, all throughout their district. It's a big area, but I hope that they're hearing the stories of farmers and farm-adjacent businesses, even if they weren't here. There's something different to sit in this room and look out at all the farmers, and when one person is talking, seeing the tears in everyone else's eyes. And it wasn't just the female farmers that were crying. The big tough guys, I think that talks about how vulnerable they are right now, how scary it is for some of these folks. I mean, that is literally about showing up and being there and feeling it and hearing it, smelling it. When you go into a room and there's the tension and sadness and concern. You don't even send a staffer. You got nothing. Again, I understand. Perhaps you think that this Wisconsin Farmers Union, a bunch of progressives, are too liberal. But come on, man. There's Republicans here too. There's people that don't vote, didn't vote, don't care, just want to do their thing. Work on their farm, raise their families, live their lives. I mean, perhaps you could find the time, Van Orden, some of these other Republicans who didn't show up to listen, go see it. See the tears? A little bit more here. Emmett Fisher, who runs a small dairy farm in Hager City, said during the town hall that he's struggling with the freeze that's been put on federal spending, which affected grants he was to receive through the U.S. Department of Agriculture. He told the Examiner his farm participated in a USDA program to encourage better conservation practices on farms, and that the money had been frozen. He was also set to receive a rural emergency assistance grant that would help him install solar panels on the farm. That money has also been held up. The result, he said, is he's facing increased uncertainty in an already uncertain business. Yeah, farming. Yeah. Here's another quote. We get all our income from our farm, young family, young kids, a mortgage on the farm. And so, things are kind of tight. And so we try to take advantage of everything we can. The uncertainty seems really unnecessary and unfortunate, and it's very stressful. Basically, we have no idea what we should be planning for. The reality is just that in farming already, you can only plan for so much when the weather and the ecology and the biology matter so much. And now to have all these other unknowns, it makes planning pretty much impossible. And there's more on this. Harry Redmond at the Wisconsin Examiner. Again, we'll put it up on the notes. But there's a consistent theme here. And I don't care if it's the rural farmers in Wisconsin. I don't care if it's the big Wall Street banks and the traders in high finance. Uncertainty is bad, And when this president is sowing chaos and creating uncertainty in everything he touches, I mean, this is what he is. So shouldn't be surprised. But at least the Republicans should show up and hear from their constituents. I think there's going to be a lot of that coming up in the future, folks. It's only been 30 days. Come back with us, 855-752-4842. And welcome back to the Dom Salvia Show. Happy Friday to us all. 855-752-4842. 855-75 Civic. Just PS working hard on the board. See you folks lining up on the lines and participating on the text as well. Please, asks Lee of the Grove. Talk about Maine's Governor Savage public move on Trump today. I'll see you in court. Yeah, I did see that, and I don't have the sound of it, but they were in the same room together. And this is about, the trans athletes. And Maine's not having it, and Trump's at the podium, kind of ripping on her as she's sitting there in the room, and she's, I'll see you in court. Oh, I'll see you in court back. You know what I mean? But thank you. Push back. This is just ridiculous. But here we go again. I mean, you guys wanted Trumpy, so we got Trumpy. Mark is doing very terrible today. We'll get to that as well. 855-752-4842. It wasn't just today, it's the week. So, I was just going to say, if the trend continues. But let's get to some of our most patient folks. Mark from the SAC, you are first today. You're up. Welcome. What do you got?
Hey, you mentioned the Who song, the Guess Who song, You Got No Time.
Yeah.
They've got better things to do. I mean, I think texted some of the lyrics to that. I mean, it's just ridiculous. These guys are not showing up because they know they're going to get reamed. They're too cowardly to show up.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's if I was there, and fortunately, I'm represented by Mark Pocan, and my two state reps right now are Sarah Kieski and Karen DeSanto, and they're both good Democrats and good progressives, and these guys need to face the public because it's going to just decimate some of our rural communities. This whole Muscovision stuff that is going on now. That is just sad. And we're losing so much status in the world. Apparently, Musk is out there now editing the fact that people are challenging Trump on Twitter, calling out Trump, pointing out the lie, and Musk is out there furiously editing that. Well, we know what the truth is here. Russia invaded Ukraine. Pure and simple. Violated their agreement with Ukraine.
Dude, I know, and Fox News had Trump on. Fox Don't Call It News. Sorry about that. Fox Don't Call It News was trying to crack to him as well. But guys like Donald Trump isn't hearing it. And his Caroline Leavitt, also his press secretary, was asked some very specific questions. She wasn't having it, wasn't hearing it, wasn't answering. It just kind of bulldozed past it like it never even happened. Thank you for the call, Mark. Enjoy your weekend. Happy Friday to us. 855-752-4842. Paul from Monona. Oh, this is interesting. Paul, welcome. What do you got today?
Hey, hi, Dom. So speaking of Elon Musk, so full disclosure, I do door-to-door canvassing for Wisconsin Democrats.
Okay.
And we use a phone app to keep track of, people's levels of support.
Yeah.
Contacting maybe for future volunteer positions. Will they do something we call vote tripling, et cetera? Pretty benign stuff.
Yeah.
So I got a call from my wife today that we got canvassed at our home by someone who she described him as a smarmy little guy. Basically, he said, I'm here to talk to people about the Supreme Court race in support of Brad Schimmel. And she said, well, who's asking? And she said, oh, I'm with Elon Musk's Super PAC. And so can I put you down for, and then she said, you're not putting me down for anything. And the thing kind of ended at that point, but I kind of wanted people to know that they are out there and they are using tech, and it's probably not going to be ethically used. That's just my hot take on it. But don't be surprised. These people are out there now canvassing for Brad Schimmel, and they're funded by Elon Musk. So,
yeah, that's interesting, Paul. And you know what I also find interesting is they stop by your house. When you go do this, don't you basically have a list of folks that are, hot leads? You're not walking up to a hard right mega, Confederate flag outside their house kind of person and saying, hey, you're going to vote for Kamala Harris. Yeah, you have an idea based on the list where you're going, right?
You are correct. However, there are places on the internet and like the white pages that you can find, I think it's the white pages, where you can find little descriptors that say, a person tends to vote Democratic.
Right.
So, I mean, that stuff is out there, and I don't know if they mine that data too.
Mm-hmm.
But you are correct. We tend to go to what we feel are friendly homes that aren't going to get our canvassers' butts kicked. And, this guy just showed up at our door. So I don't know how he found out, or maybe they're not taking a very focused approach. I'm not sure. But it'll be interesting to see if people start getting taken aback by this or what.
Yeah. Let me ask you one other question, Paul, while I got you on the line, and thank you for your efforts in canvassing and being a part and putting some time in for our democracy. The money is being spent, $1 million, I think was the Vice was reporting in the Journal Sentinel that, Musk's organization is spending against Susan Crawford. You think that's a lot of money? I mean, what's your experience been in that regard?
I'm actually not terribly involved with that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm a foot soldier.
Yeah, right, man. Well, we appreciate it, man. Keep up the good work, and thank you for sharing your experiences. Yeah, are you getting any smarmy Musk support?
Love that you described him as a little smarmy guy.
Smarmy guy. Hey, I resemble that remark. 855-752-4842. 855-75-Civic. Thank you, Paul from Monona. CJ, our conservative buddy. What's up, CJ? Happy Friday. What do you got for us?
Happy Friday to you, Dom. Kash Patel was just sworn in by the new Attorney General, Pam Bondi. And there's going to be one tier of justice. It doesn't matter which side of the aisle it falls on.
Yeah, you think so?
Yeah. Howard Lutnick was passed, just...
Do you think, hang on, the one tier of justice, if I may, CJ, let me ask you the question.
Sure.
The D.C. U.S. attorney sent a letter to a Democratic congressman inquiring about his threats to Elon Musk and his team. Do you think that is legitimate? Do you think that is a one tier of justice, or do you think that's fishing and trying to silent dissent?
Well, I think evidence will speak loudly when it comes.
Does it though? I mean, does it? If I mean, the guy's basically saying they want us to get into a bar fight with the Republicans. You think that's worthy of a U.S. attorney scratching a letter on DOJ letterhead, send it to a congressman? You think that's legitimate, man? Really?
I'm more concerned about actually what's happening right now.
So it's not. Let's hear it. It's not legitimate. Yes, I got you. Hey, I'm not.
You want to turn a blind eye?
No, you can't tell me what I want to do, CJ. All right, while I got you, because I do got to ask you. The markets today tanking. Dow was down 1.7%, down 2.5 on the week, down 2.5% on the week. Why do you think that is? And do you blame this administration and their tariffs and their chaos for that, or why do you think that is?
Well, I love hearing you concerned about the fertilizer costs of farmers.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the Dow right now, down 2.5% on the week, CJ, under this administration. The Wall Street Journal's lighting them up, man. Conservatives are lighting them up. There's a lot of people that are very concerned about this administration. Are you?
I'm so excited about it. I am smiling every day.
Do you have investments?
That makes you really excited?
Do you have investments, CJ? I mean, are you invested? I don't know. I mean, how can this be good news, man? Come on. Unless you're playing the short, how is the Dow falling 2.5% in 1 week? How is that positive?
Because, an adjustment happens every day.
Come on.
An adjustment. Okay. Then are we in a correction then? Is it 10%? CJ, I mean, if it's an adjustment, do you expect a 10% adjustment, which we would call a correction, which would lead to a downturn in the economy? Do you think that's coming? I mean, we got 2.5% down this week. If we keep this trend for the next 4 weeks, we'd be down 10%, which is correction territory. Do you think that's good for this country?
You don't want to hear my answer, Dom.
I just did. Go. Do you think that's good for this country?
This is amazing for the country.
All right, well, there you go.
Okay.
You heard it from CJ, our conservative buddy.
Dow's down, he's up.
Playing the short. Down, according to the Wall Street Journal, CJ. You know, that liberal rag of wokeness. Stocks erased gains from the week Friday after investors tapped the brakes in response to signs of a lackluster economy. Bond price rallies, while all three major indices dropped by more than 1% after the S&P set record highs earlier in the week. Indicators published the morning showed the weakness and the 4.9% drop in sales of existing homes last month. And also showed retail sales also fell in February. Jay Hatfield, chief executive at the Infrastructure Capital Advisors, says the data is piling up day after day. Day after day. And they go on to talk about United Health. Of course, they dropped more than 7%. Wall Street Journal reported they're being investigated on their Medicare billing practices.
Now, is this related to what Brian Anderson was being investigated for, or is this a completely different
I don't know the Brian.
investigation?
I'm not clear on that. Not clear on that. Also, but worldwide, people are still kind of up on the whole AI stuff. But as of Friday's trading, to my point, the Dow fell 1.7% this week. Right, the S&P down 1.7 and the Nasdaq down 2.2. Oil prices declined as well. Now, I'm sorry, that was today. This week, Dow fell 2.5%, Nasdaq down 2.5%, and the S&P 500 down 1.7%. Okay, adjustments, maybe. But this is a Wall Street Journal. These are the actual factual numbers. And if you think that's good, CJ, I don't know, unless you're playing the short, how you could find the silver lining in that. 855-752-4842. It is the continual chaos of this administration. I don't know if we have time to get to the sound of Caroline Leavitt, because, of course, Doge investigating fraud, and Caroline, the spokeswoman for Trump, never going to lie to us, right?
She said she would never lie to us, Dom.
She promised. All right, do we have time to play this?
In the next segment.
Oh, damn, okay. See, I was sitting there jawboning with you too long, and I jumped out
if you
right
would
away.
Jumped into it, yeah.
We could have got it. Mark says CJ gets his talking points from his buddy Vladimir Putin.
Ooh.
Kathy from Fort Atkinson. CJ is a typical mega. Cannot answer a question and spews uneducated nonsense. Oh, I keep shutting his mic off. That's because you interrupt me, man. Jim from Stoughton says CJ is like Kevin Bacon's character in the movie Animal House. We bend over taking the paddle from the frat brothers. Think you may have another. Get your head out of that behind. Think you might have another. Think you may have another. Oh, CJ, you fire everybody up, man. We appreciate you, coming on and I guess speaking for the megas out there. I mean, if you're a mega,
it's really good that we hear that voice.
It is. I think we need to amplify that voice. If you're megas out there, you think that this is a great week for Donald Trump. If you think this is the economic uncertainty and the chaos that is driving this administration is good, if it's good for business, I know you're all about business, folks, right? It's all about the money, right? How is this good? This is a Wall Street Journal saying, and they're on his ass about the New World Order. Well, maybe we'll get to that next as well. When you voted for Donald Trump, did you think he'd realign our entire world order? That he would dismiss our European allies in favor of Vladimir Putin?
Absolutely.
Is that what you voted for, though? Come on.
Not me.
Is that a good thing? There is reporting that perhaps Donald Trump might be heading to Moscow.
Huh.
Are they calling him home?
Going for tea or what?
Drudge report. You got to check in with the boss, man.
Oh, of course.
Drudge report has some articles linking a former Russian spy agent accusing Donald Trump of being an agent for them for a long time. That didn't produce apparently any evidence of that, but I mean, since when do Republicans need evidence of anything? I saw it on the internet. It must be true. Come back with us, 855-752-4842. Caroline Leavitt might lie to you, but I never will. 855-75-CIVIC. That coming up next.
Control in the fight of our lives. You're People say that I'm a bad influence. I say the world's already. I'm just adding to it. They say I'm teenagers suicidal. Come on, do as I do. Go ahead, get mad and do it. People say that I'm a bad influence. I say the world's already. I'm just adding to it. They say I'm teenagers suicidal.
And welcome back to the Dom Salvia Show, 855-752-4842, 855-75 Civic. Happy Friday. It is here. Our pal CJ inspiring lots of thought and comment on the text line, folks. If you don't have the temerity or the courage or just want to shoot a note out, you can do that on the text line. It's the same as the phone number, 855-752-4842. My friend, the original Claire, she says, hey, Dom, CJ's been conned by King Kong. King Khan. I like that. Love the original Claire. Love you back, Claire. Oh, yeah. CJ also had to chime in, just kind of putting a little salt in the wound. Long live the king. What, dude? Come on, man. You don't want to live under an absolute monarchy, CJ, because if you look sideways at the king, he'll have your head. There's no due process, man. There's no individual rights. There's no civil liberties. It is what the king wants. And when you talk like that, you're I know you're trying to get me. I get you. That's fine. But you're really ignorant, dude. You want to live like that, man? Are you kidding me? Do you know what the consequence of living under an absolute monarchy is? It is against. I mean, you wouldn't be able to call this show if I was king. If I was one of those bad kings, and I don't like what you said, off with your head, man. I mean, that's it.
That's it.
Only the court jester gets to make fun of the king. Mm-hmm. So if I weren't the king, if I were the jester, that I'd be okay.
You do all right as that, I think, Tom.
I do. I said I'd be a king. I'd be a total dictator if anybody listened to me.
If only.
I mean, come on. If anybody would listen to me. Yes, we have a couple other texters out there. Steve from Milwaukee. Yes, Donald Trump. And we'll have this article, the Mirror reporting. I found the link at the Drudge Report about Trump being recruited by the KGB back in the day. We'll throw that one out there for your consideration as well. Let's see here. Mark from Sussex had no problem when the Dow dropped over 1,000 points in one day under Biden. Well, I mean, and fair point. It is ebbs and flows, and I don't know what day that was, but if you look what the market was, what the Dow was at, Mark from Sussex, when Joe Biden became president, and what the Dow was at when Joe Biden exited the presidency, it was double? I'd have to double check that. It was high, man. No way. And again, granted, we're in a worldwide depression, or I'm sorry, pandemic that impacted everything, and supply chains, yada, yada. Everything was shut down. I mean, I get that. But those things happen. That happened under your guys' watch, yo. And so you own that. And at some point, Donald Trump's going to own this. And I gave January, man.
He'll never own it. Come on.
He'll never take never take blame for it. And the good happens, he'll take credit. But we're full on now, man, right? We've heard all the toadies from the Trump administration yesterday. We heard Caroline Leavitt. We heard Stephen Miller. Everything's great. Man, he did 70-some executive orders. We've done more in 8 years and more in 30 days than any other president's done in 8 years, and all the sycophantic, ass-kissing, weirdo stuff, man. That is the strange stuff. I get you want to support your administration and your person, but the ass-kissing, the bending of the knee to such a degree reminds me of these, these movies of like Nazi Germany, man. I hate to say it like that, but any sort of authoritarian that needs that reinforcement and support constantly, man, and they're giving it to him constantly. It is very strange. So if his folks are out there saying that, hey, this is the 30 days, he did all these things, well, he owns it right now. Okay, we're going to run out of time.
We are.
Oh, come on.
No, we got enough time right now.
All right, Caroline Leavitt. Let's hear Caroline Leavitt. Peter Alexander from NBC asking righteous questions.
Let me ask you about the fraud, if I can. We can all have our own opinion about what is wasteful spending, and Republicans have praised the president for cutting wasteful spending. But fraud, of course, is a crime. So have you turned over evidence of fraud to the Justice Department, and when should we expect to see those indictments?
Yes.
It's a clever question.
Clever.
First of all, I think all Americans would agree that funding mastectomies in Mozambique is not something that the American people should be funding.
Is that fraud?
Or DEI programs. I think it's fraudulent fraudulent that the American government has been ripping off taxpayers in this way. And we also do know there has been extensive fraud, particularly if you look at Social Security. In fact, according to an IG report from the Social Security Administration, there was $71 billion worth of fraud in one single fiscal year that we know about. And so that is a lot of fraud, Peter, that the government has admitted to. So this administration is committed to finding even more of that fraud, waste, and abuse.
To be clear, that $71 billion was from 2015 to 2022, so it wasn't in just 1 year, and it was in
$71 billion.
But it wasn't in 1 year. Just to be clear,
in one report,
and it was in one report over multiple years from 2015 to 2022. And
so
it was
are you defending $71 billion in fraud, Peter? That's a lot of money.
I'm just
far
making,
too much, and that's why this administration. Why is the media so against cutting waste, fraud, and abuse from the government? I don't get it.
I just want to ask a question.
We won't be deterred.
Just part of my.
It won't be deterred, and you won't listen to logic or answer the question. Oh, it's a clever question. Listen, he's absolutely right. You could say something is wasteful. Sure, we can all do that. Go down the list, and that's why you have Congress. The House, closest to the people, get elected every 2 years. They're the ones that make up the budget, right? It starts with them. It wasn't $71 billion of fraud in 1 year, as Peter Alexander says. It was $71 billion in fraud over 7 years. Now, and mind you, we spend $1.5 trillion in Social Security payments in fiscal year 2024. $1.5 trillion. Now, if you take the $71 billion and do the math, that comes up to my back of the napkin math, 0.06% of fraud of $71 billion over the course of what? $1.5 trillion times 7-ish. It's less. I mean, it's such a significant. It's a big number because 1.5 trillion is a big number. Come back. We're going to have more of this, plus your calls, 855-75-CIVIC.
Go ahead, get mad and do it. Just let it go. People say that I'm a bad influence. I say the world's already I'm just adding to it. They say I'm teenagers suicidal. Come on to his idol. Go ahead, get mad and do it. Just
Broadcasting across the state of Wisconsin on the Civic Media Radio Network and around the world on the Civic Media app. This is the Dom Salvia Show. And now, here's your host, Dom Salvia.
And welcome to the Dom Salvia Show. Thank you so much for tuning in. You can be a part. Offer your thoughts at 855-752-4842, 855-75-CIVIC. Got Just PS working hard on the board. We got some sound to get for you in this hour. We got some Bernie Sanders. Love it when you hear some Bernie Sanders. Got some J.B. Pritzker. We talked a little bit about his state of the state in Illinois yesterday, where he was lighting up some of these Republicans and the chaos coming out of the Trump administration. And Caroline Levitt asked a question from NBC journalist Peter Alexander, and we ended it last segment with that. I think I want to start there again. I was trying to get some math in my head and trying to figure it all out, and I think it's worthy of re-listening to, because I want to get to some of the numbers of what we're really talking about. And we'll get to your calls as well. Thank you for your patience. 855-752-4842. Caroline Levitt. I mean, I will never lie to you. You know, whenever someone says, you know what, don't believe that stuff, man. If you got to
especially not when they immediately follow it up with a lie.
I will never cheat on you. I will never hurt you. I will never steal your money. Yes, if you're going to say it, of course, I don't believe it. You're going to do it. You're projecting. Anyway, Caroline Levitt asked a legitimate question. We hear about the DOJ and all this effort to root out waste, fraud, and abuse. Now, waste, okay, that's one thing. Waste is waste, and waste is subjective, right? We can all think that paying for this or paying for that, paying for whatever is that's all subjective. Now, fraud is very specific, right? There's criminal statutes as it pertains to fraud. Hell, there's civil statutes as it pertains to fraud. And abuse, I'm not sure how we determine what that might be as well. Also, I would consider that to be subjective. So when Peter Alexander asked White House Press Secretary Caroline Levitt a legitimate question, her response of, "Oh, that's a clever question," just come on, I want to spit on the ground in front of her. Are you kidding me? That's a clever question. It's a good question. And what you didn't do, Ms. Levitt, was answer it. Let's hear it for the folks, and let's talk about this some more, please.
Let me ask you about the fraud, if I can. We can all have our own opinion about what is wasteful spending, and Republicans have praised the president for cutting wasteful spending. But fraud, of course, is a crime. So have you turned over evidence of fraud to the Justice Department, and when should we expect to see those indictments?
It's a clever question. First of all, I think all Americans would agree that funding mastectomies in Mozambique is not something that the American people should be funding.
Is that fraud?
Or DEI programs. I think it's fraudulent that the American government has been ripping off taxpayers in this way. And we also do know there has been extensive fraud, particularly if you look at Social Security. In fact, according to an IG report from the Social Security Administration, there was $71 billion worth of fraud in one single fiscal year that we know about. And so that is a lot of fraud,
true.
Peter,
That's
that
the
government has admitted to.
Government?
So this administration is committed to finding even more of that fraud, waste, and abuse.
To be clear, that $71 billion was from 2015 to 2022, so it wasn't in just 1 year, and it was in
$71 billion.
But it wasn't in 1 year, just to be clear.
In one report.
And it was in one report over multiple years, from 2015 to 2022. And
so are you defending $71 billion in fraud, Peter? That's a lot of money.
I'm just
far too much, and that's why this administration. Why is the media so against cutting waste, fraud, and abuse from the government? I don't get it.
I just want to ask a question.
We won't be deterred.
Just part of my.
She didn't answer the question. She does not answer the question. She gave out a wrong number, $71 billion in quote-unquote fraud. Again, this is a report from the Social Security Administration, my understanding, over the course of 7 years. So that's what, $10 billion a year? Is that
about
70 divided by 7 is 10, right?
Last I checked.
Okay, so $10 billion a year. And last year, in fiscal year 2024, we spent $1.5 trillion. So what? 10 billion out of 1.5 trillion. I'm not going to do that math. You do it. But what I'm telling you is that's a very small number. Less than 0.5%, less than 0.1%. It's a very small. It's a very small number.
Yeah.
And if we look at the course of 7 years, again, so last year we spent, and it's not all 1.5 trillion. I think last year I found some notes from the Social Security Administration that we spent like 1.35 trillion dollars in 2023. Right? So 1.5, 1.35, assuming it's a little bit less as we go back. So what? I mean, over 7 years, maybe we're talking $10 trillion ish. Anyway, I know it's a big number because it's billion. It's $71 billion. It's a lot of money. Yeah, it is a lot of money. But it's over the course of 7 years, and it's against a number that is like $1.5 trillion last year. Now, as a percentage basis, I'm sure there's greater fraud in other agencies and in other endeavors than that. So while it's a big number, number one, it wasn't 1 year. Number two, we're talking about probably over the course of 7 years, maybe $10 trillion. I mean, I don't want to sound like this, but it's basically a rounding error. Do the spreadsheet. I have too many zeros on my calculator. You know what I'm saying. 855-752-4842. A clever question? No, a legitimate question. And if it is, and if this is out there, if the fraud is there, where are the indictments? I mean, you got the D.C. U.S. attorney sending letters to Democratic congressmen because they think they're threatening DOJ. Well, obviously you got some hungry folks. You got Cash Money Patel. He's the new guy in town at the FBI. If there is a fraud out there, don't we all want that prosecuted? I do too. Where are the prosecutions? Oh, that's a clever question. Well, that's a clever answer, but it's not an answer. It's a clever response. It's not an answer. Caroline Levitt, $71 billion last year, my ass. 855-752-4842. I mean, consider the source here, folks, and I'm not going to do the math on the radio, but you tell me if I'm wrong. 855-752-4842. Ali from the Northwoods, you are next. Happy Friday. Ali, what do you got for us?
Well, 2 points. First off, you talked about Trump heading to Russia to meet with Putin. Well, personally, I think he's heading there to pick up his 30 rubles for turning against the United States and Ukraine. And a second point is, last night there was an audio of Trump boasting to his governor's meeting there that he was returning the country back, giving them back the American dream. Personally, I think it's more like the American nightmare, if you ask me.
The American Nightmare. Sounds like a good album. Thank you, Ali. Unfortunately, it is troublesome, and is evidenced by these farmers here in the state of Wisconsin that tried were trying to speak to their legislators, and the Republicans just didn't show up. If you hear that, and you're talking in the articles that Redmond had in the Wisconsin Examiner, and the participants in this meeting had tears in their eyes as they're telling their stories. I mean, come on. I mean, farming is a tough business. It's tough. It's a tough business. You're married to it. I mean, you cannot leave it. You can't leave it home. If you're a dairy farm, your cows got to get milked twice or three times a day. Good luck going on vacation when you do that. Then you got to get someone to backfill you when you're not there. And when you are there, you got to try to keep the cows healthy. You got to feed the cows. And then you got to feed the cows, and maybe you're growing the food. Or maybe you got a dry summer. Now you got to buy the food, and you got greater. I mean, there's a million things that can go wrong in farming. That's why the U.S. Department of Agriculture, has that plan that you can tap into money that is available to keep our farms going and our food supply going, because you got to have food. Remember, Donald Trump tapped into that his last trade war. We talked about that, $28 billion. But I digress. There is real concern out there, and we talked about the makeup, the remaking of the New World Order right now as the Wall Street Journal reported, and we'll get to that as well. And then Drudge had this link to your point, Ali. I'll throw this out there, if I may. Just bear with me here. For Vladimir, this is from the French conservative news magazine Le Point, which means the point. Le Point. I had to look it up. Le Point.
I was a little confused. You put into our show planning document something in French.
I got it from Drudge. But here's the point. As they write at Le Point, for Vladimir Putin, May 9th is the most important day of the year. It is the day of victory in the great patriotic war. This war allows him to affirm that the whole world owes almost everything to the USSR, therefore to Russia, which can therefore return to the world after Yalta when Moscow had kidnapped Eastern European. It's also a day when he has often in the past given speeches on the history of the 20th century rewritten as he wished, talking about Putin. Celebrating 1945 on May 9th, and it's not on the 8th. It was 11 p.m. in Berlin, 1 a.m. in Moscow. It was already a way for the Russians to celebrate a victory other than ours in the West. It was Stalin, moreover, who had demanded that the German capitulation be duplicated in Berlin the following day. But on May 9, according to our sources, there should be a major guest in Moscow stands, Donald Trump alongside Vladimir Putin. On May 9, 2025, what victory would Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump celebrate? Less that of the allies of 1945 than their common one in the peace negotiations on Ukraine, which the Kellogg plan predicts will end on May 9th. If all goes well for them in their common plan, May 9, 2025 will mark their triumph, the triumph above all of Putin, who will thus see his initial comparison of Ukraine with the Nazis corroborated and endorsed. Let us never forget this argument about quote-unquote Nazi Ukraine, which had justified in Putin's eyes his outbreak of the war. Thus, according to him, 80 years after having triumphed over the Nazis, we triumph over other Nazis. There's more to this piece, but, I mean, think about that for a minute. If that day, it's like July 4th, right? Independence, very important day for Russia. And the symbolic move of Donald Trump being in the stands next to Vladimir Putin on that day, is that going to also be coincide with the quote-unquote end of the Ukraine war? Which
Right. Why would Trump be on the Russian side for the purported end of this war?
That's strange. Why would that happen? Why would something like that happen? Oh, yeah, there's also that other article about Donald Trump being recruited by the KGB.
Right.
Oh, that's
there is
right.
that.
Oh, Dom, that's a drudge headline and there's no proof. Oh, no, now people need proof. Now you need proof. Oh, all you stop the steal folks. Now you need proof. You couldn't provide proof for any of your antics and your conspiracy theories. But when some old Russian puts it out on Facebook and Drudge picks it up and we talk about it, because how else? I mean, think about this for a moment. What would Donald Trump do differently if he were, in fact, on the payroll and a source for Russian intelligence? What would he do differently? I'd like to really, really know the answer to that question. If you have an opinion, we got lots of opinions here. Come back with us. We've got some Bernie Sanders coming up. Got your calls as well, 855-752-4842. Don't forget, end of the show, tell us something good. Welcome back to the Dom Salvia Show. Happy Friday to us all. 855-752-4842, 855-75 Civic. Got Just PS on the board. We're going to get to your calls next. It's also a text line, 855-752-4842. Let me just throw a little bit more out there, and then we will get to the calls. Donald Trump, according to the mirror.co.uk, and this one was the link from the aforementioned Drudge Report. So we heard from the French conservative news magazine Le Point that Donald Trump may be going to Russia in May, a very important day for Russia and that country. And hell, you talk about what happened in World War II. Well, perhaps Donald Trump will be there. Perhaps we'll be celebrating the end of the Ukrainian war. What does that look like? We'll have to wait and see on that. But according to the Mirror, a former Soviet intelligence officer has claimed Donald Trump was recruited by the KGB in '87 and given the code name Krasnov, Krasnov, Krasnov. The bombshell allegation made by Alnur Musayev, Mussayev, former Kazakh intelligence chief, in a Facebook post. Facebook? The 71-year-old who previously headed Kazakhstan's National Security Committee said he had served in the sixth dictatorate of KGB in Moscow, which was responsible for counterintelligence support within the economy. Now, one of the directorate's primary objectives, he claimed, was recruiting businessmen from capitalist countries. Now, according to him, Trump was then a 40-year-old New York real estate developer. He was one of those recruits. Quote, in 1987, our directorate recruited Donald Trump under the pseudonym Krasnov. We just start calling him President Krasnov. Now, he did not post, the post did not include evidence to support the claim, but in a further comment, he made another shocking allegation. Quote, today, the personal file of Resident Krasnov has been removed from the FSB. It is being privately managed by one of Putin's closest associates, he alleged. His allegations come amid years of speculation over Trump's ties to Russia, dating back to his first visit to Moscow in 1987. Well, 1987? I mean, isn't that exactly when he said that's when they recruited Donald Trump under their pseudonym Krasnov? So Donald Trump did go to Moscow in 87. Now, at the time, Trump, then a rising star of the New York property market, traveled to the Soviet Union to explore the possibility of building a hotel in the capital. Soviet officials reportedly facilitated the trip, raising questions among intelligence analysts about whether it was a routine business opportunity or something more scandalous. Again, you can find that at themirror.co.uk. Go to Drudge Report as well. Now we heard from Le Point, and we've heard from Mirror. And now what about this Wall Street Journal piece? Donald Trump. I mean, is Donald Trump literally remaking the New World Order? Is that what we asked for? Is that what you voted for? Again, the headline from the Wall Street Journal, this was from 2 days ago. Trump's attack on Zelensky signals New World Order taking shape. From alienating allies to praising adversaries, Trump appears to abandon decades of American foreign policy. Again, from the Wall Street Journal. I'm not going to read into that. Again, we'll put it in the show notes. You can read it for yourself. But again, these news organizations, Wall Street Journal, certainly not a lefty organization, highlighting these facts. So again, I would ask you, without making any accusations, I'm just reporting what other people say. I'm just asking questions over here. Just doing a Tucker Carlson, just asking questions. What would Donald Trump do differently if he were on the payroll of the Kremlin? What would he do differently? I literally want to know that. 855-752-4842. Dismantling American government?
Check.
Threatening to pull out of NATO, causing havoc, wreaking havoc, right?
Mm-hmm.
Alienating
check.
our allies. Siding with Moscow and Ukraine.
Triple check.
I'm just wondering, what else? What would he do differently if he were actually on the payroll of the former Soviet Union? 855-752-4842. I'd like to know. Let's get to the lines. 855-75-7. Looks like Peggy from Brooklyn, Wisconsin. You've been on here the longest. Thank you for your patience. What do you got for us?
Okay, well, one thing is my mega people. I cannot believe they are so excited. They think this is absolutely wonderful. And one of them, I'm supposed to go visit this summer. There's no way in hell. I can, no,
It's tough.
no.
I mean, so
the
do we?
only-
Yeah,
the
go ahead.
only
Finish your
good-
thought.
The bright point in all this, is we have Putin, we have Trump, and we have Musk. And those three, I want to be the king of the world, not of U.S., of the world.
Yeah.
So only one can do it. So they're probably going to end up getting rid of two. That's the only good part.
It's like Highlander, man. There can only be one. My name is Clan MacLeod, and I'm from the Clan MacLeod, and I'm immortal. No, nothing.
Was that supposed to be a Scottish accent?
It's Irish, Scottish, something. I don't know. There can be only one. Highlander. Google it. Just.
I'm familiar, Dom.
Okay. And that's a scary. And where are the, who and where are those that are standing up for liberty? Fraternity, liberty. Remember the French Revolution, right? Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Remember that we used to have that? That was written down somewhere in a document somewhere, right?
Somewhere.
Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Seems familiar.
Where are those? You folks are so quick to embrace the king, CJ. Hey, long live the king. What? I mean, that's almost as bad as a Nazi salute. Almost.
We had another one of those recently.
Steve Bannon at CPAC doing the Nazi salute. Not acceptable. Talking about kings like that, I think is also. I know we jest, but I think if you think about the reality of an absolute monarchy, how is what Hitler? How is that any different? I mean, he was a modern king. Let's put it that way. That's what it was. If you didn't like Hitler, if those authoritarians, they don't like us. Hell, even Stalin to that degree. How many people disappeared under Stalin?
Millions.
I mean, where is the due process then? You want to live like that, CJ? You think that's funny? You may as well be walking around doing the Sieg Heil Hitler Nazi salutes, man, when you talk so casually about being under the thumb of a king. You got to be kidding me, man. What do you think of the greatest generation of World War II vets, the ones that are left, would think about something like that? What did the American Revolution, what was that all about? To get out from underneath the thumb of a king. And now you joke about it like it's something you want? Be careful what you wish for, folks. Come back with us. I want you to come back with us. I wish for that. 855-752-4842. Salvia Show. Happy Friday to us all. 855-752-4842, 855-75 Civic, standing up for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That's what we do. We don't bow to kings. We don't joke about a monarch, an absolute monarchy. That's not funny. We don't do Nazi signs, Republican CPAC, Steve Bannon, Elon Musk. You kidding me? 855-752-4842. You guys should be ashamed of yourselves. I mean, the ignorance is really showing through. And if that's the kind of world you want to live in, don't take this country down. Why don't you move to Russia? Be with your guy. You know, Trump's going to be over there not too long, apparently. 855-752-4842. Cindy from Appleton, you will be next. Welcome. What do you got for us?
Well, I have two things. First of all, people like CJ, and I'm hoping he's joking, but if he's not, and I don't think he is, it's because people that want to live under a dictatorship can't think for themselves. And really, CJ is nothing but a bunch of Republican mega talking points and basically a troll. And the second thing I have to say,
but hang on. Okay, let me address that. Hold on to your second thought. I want to get there as well. But guys, people like CJ and the megas in general, they're all saying that. So is everybody a troll when the White House Twitter account puts out, King Trump? Are we getting troll? I mean, is Donald Trump the king troll?
Yes.
Man. Okay, your second thought.
And my second thought is, I don't think the convicted rapist could ever be a KBG agent because he is not smart enough.
I would say this, and I think you don't have to be a smart agent, right? You just got to report in once in a while and be a chaos agent. You don't have to be the James Bond and be that very super smart kind of person. As long as you can just be around it, man. You just gotta. You don't need the brilliance. That's a misnomer in my opinion. What you need is someone who can get crap done. Apparently, Donald Trump might be that guy. What you need is someone who has perhaps a fragile ego that can be goaded and manipulated. And perhaps Donald Trump is that guy. So, no, I mean, I get it. I mean, and certainly Donald Trump was very smart in his own way. But I don't think that if you're going to get someone compromised by a foreign intelligence agency, that they need to be this brilliant double spy kind of thing. No, you don't need that. What you need is to be a useful idiot. That's good too. Sowing some chaos. I mean, come on, look what we got going on in 1 month. Again, if Donald Trump were, in fact, as being alleged by former Kazakhstan KGB agent, recruited by the KGB back when Donald Trump was 40 years old, if that were to be true, tell me what would he do differently than what he has been doing in this administration and certainly his last administration. Just one more quote, a couple of quotes from themirror.com. Then we do your calls, 855-752-4842. As they conclude in their piece, again, this is a piece about, they're entitled that Donald Trump was recruited by KGB with codename Krasnov, claims ex-Soviet spy. The Mirror concludes their piece with these two paragraphs. Some U.S. officials have repeatedly raised concerns about Trump's close relationship with the Kremlin leader, particularly during his first term in office. Anthony Scaramucci, the mooch.
Wasn't that a unit of time?
It is. Who briefly served as Trump's White House communications director in 2017. Very briefly. Added to the intrigue during a recent episode of The Rest is Politics, a U.S. podcast. Scaramucci suggested that Trump's deference to Putin has puzzled many of his former senior officials. A quote from the mooch. I think there is a mysterious hold on the president. He did not elaborate what that hold might be, but did suggest that several former Trump administration officials, including H.R. McMaster, James Mattis, and John Kelly, who also struggled to understand Trump affinity for Putin. Quote, I don't know why it's like this, he said. McMaster couldn't figure it out. Mattis couldn't figure it out. Kelly couldn't figure it out. So the mooch, McMaster, Mattis, Kelly, these Army, military types, can't figure out, wow, why does the American president capitulate so much to the former Soviet KGB dictator?
Mind-boggling.
So strange. Wonder why that would be. Speculate for me, will you, folks? 855-752.
You ever heard of Occam's razor?
4842. Yeah, something that if it's, you tell me.
Well, it means that when faced with something that looks like it might be a very complicated situation, look for the simplest solution. If you hear hooves, it's probably not a zebra. You see someone who is constantly, time and time and time again, supporting Russian interests over American interests, over democratic interests, the simplest possible solution. His interests are not ours.
And that Helsinki interview, a press conference with Trump and Putin back in his first term was just disgusting. That was when I don't know why they would do it, talking about the Russians' attempts to influence our elections and so forth. He very powerfully denied it. And I don't know why he would. Then he came out, I'm going to say I don't know why he wouldn't. I mean, it was just the whole thing. You're absolutely right. And folks, you got to, you take it from, you make up your own mind about it, but it doesn't look great for that guy and this country. 855-752-4842. It does look great for you callers because we're going to get to you next. Brian from the MKE, you are up. Welcome. What do you got for us?
Hey, thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
Great show as always.
Thank you.
Just a few things. This has me riled up today, and it's had me riled up for a few days. My big thing is how is this going to benefit Trump somehow with everything he's done in the last month? For example, saying, we're going to rebuild Gaza with this resort. Yeah, is that your Trump Tower and your golf resort so that when you're not president it benefits you somehow? And, everything you're doing with Russia now by turning against our allies like Ukraine and Canada and everything else, how's that going to benefit him in the long run? And how is pulling out of the Paris Climate Agreement and the UN and NATO and everything else he's undoing, how is that going to benefit him in the long run? And I asked this to this big question, I asked all this to his supporters and those who voted for him. Now, I know there are some people who voted for him that are going, oh my God, what did I do? And they finally woke up and smelled the coffee, even though we're already laughing at them going, we told you so, but you didn't want to listen. Why don't you guys all take a little bit of advice if you really believe in Russia that much? Because all you're going to do is hurt people like you and me, and it will finally backfire and hurt them too, because this is not making America great in any way. This is ripping this country apart. Why don't you guys all just, if you love Russia so much, go over to Russia and come up with your own little place called Trump Town. You can drink as much orange Kool-Aid as you want.
Trump Town.
Yeah, I'm sure that Putin will allow that.
He may. I mean, Trump's allegedly, according to the French conservative newspaper magazine, might be going over there in May. Hey, Brian, thank you for that. And, it is concerning because there are going to be people, left, right, middle, all of us who, if these things continue on, if you look at the trend line, just take the markets for this week, down 2.5%, the Dow was. That's not great. That happens again next week. That's down 5%. You know what I mean? Now, there's lots of variables that go into that, certainly. But this administration and the way that Donald Trump is reacting and his threats of tariffs and so forth is shaking up the markets and is causing consternation among those folks who are looking for some consistency to do business in. Man, I mean, that's what it comes down to. So when you start losing, the Wall Street Journal and you start losing perhaps some of those, rich cats over on Wall Street, and perhaps you start losing some of your hardcore, mega rural voters because they're not getting the cost of their business is going up now, and then perhaps they don't get the support that they got, basically scratch blank checks from Trump last time around. So there's a lot of variables going into this. I mean, I certainly hope that we don't have to suffer. You know what I mean? People always say, well, you want Donald Trump to fail. I mean, if Donald Trump's version of winning means that everybody else fails, then yes, I absolutely want Donald Trump to fail if that's the case. And again, you can't help me understand. Convince me, because I'm not convinced. Donald Trump doesn't convince me. He has no credibility with me. Elon Musk has zero credibility with me. Caroline Leavitt doesn't even know what the hell she's talking about $71 billion in Social Security fraud, waste, and abuse. Oh, I never lied. It was last year. No, it wasn't. I mean, they continue to make mistakes. Oh, there's $8 billion fraud. Oh, I'm sorry. That was $8 million. Way to go, Musk. I mean, at what point do you question the veracity of anything that these folks say? Never got to question my veracity. But if I get it wrong, though, tell me. I'm down with that. I'm okay. I'll correct the record. It's really simple. 855-752-4842. Gary from Sussex, you are up. Welcome, Gary. What are your thoughts today?
Well, you're in a real mood. I was afraid to call.
Don't get me going, Gary. You know how it is.
And another thing is that this time of the year, my business starts to slow down a little bit because it gets a little bit warmer. So I am going to be contacting you about doing lunch. I'm
All
going
right.
to take you out to lunch like I promised you.
Yes.
So but I'm still working yet right now, so I don't have a lot of free time. But soon, within the next month.
All right, man. Hit me up.
So we'll do lunch.
All right.
But the thing is this. Donald Trump says crazy stuff all the time. I admit that. He does it to get a rise out of people. All right? Now, the question that I have for you is, do you think Zelensky from Ukraine, is he a dictator in your opinion?
No.
Okay.
Let me ask you a question. Now we're going to play question games. Let me ask you one back. Do you think Vladimir Putin is a dictator?
Yes.
Okay. Now you go.
Okay. So anybody, if Donald Trump said he was in the middle of a war with Afghanistan, which we've been in war with them for the last 20 years or something.
No, Biden got us out of that, but go ahead.
Okay. But we were at war when he was president. All right. And if Donald Trump said during the 2020 election that he says, I'm canceling the election this year because we're in a war, what would you think of Donald Trump if he did that? Would you call him a dictator?
I would certainly say that's unconstitutional. He'd be challenged on that. Yes, absolutely. But I think I know where you're going here. But what is the Zelensky? Yes, yeah, he did. Their constitution is different than ours, though, right, Gary?
It doesn't matter. He's a dictator, and he's not going to get out of office. So, yes, he's a dictator.
And hang on. Now I just want to be very clear here. Their constitution is different than ours. And would you suggest? Do you think that people in Ukraine are crying to go to the polls in the middle of a war? Like, hey, let's all gather at the polling place so the dictator that's attacking us can bomb us. Gary, you heard Donald Trump say that this is Zelensky's fault, right? Do you agree with that? Did Zelensky cause Putin, make Putin beat him? Is that crazy? What do you explain? How do you explain that?
I think by Zelensky not wanting to become part of NATO is a real problem. Did Ukraine invade themselves, Gary? I mean, because Donald Trump, do you think he's lying and trying to rewrite history? Or you think he's trying to get me mad, Gary? What would be the point of that? I mean, he's got Republicans correcting him, man. He got Fox Don't Call It News correcting him, Gary. Are you going to correct him? No, I agree that he says things are kind of dumb.
Oh, come on, man. You can't pass that, man. At what point? You think the king thing's funny, Gary? You think that's a funny thing? What if Donald Trump gets up there like Steve Bannon did and Elon Musk did and start doing the Nazi salute? Is that funny? He's just doing something crazy to get us going, Gary?
I don't think that he should be calling himself a king.
Yeah, but he is, man. His White House is. He's living it, man. CJ, these other megas, they're eating it up. Do you think he should be a king?
Hey, Dom,
do you think he should be a king, Gary? Do you think he should be a king?
No, of course not.
Well, come on, man. Then why do you support someone that says they're a king? Long live the king.
Dom, when you get your $5,000 credit check,
what are you talking about? There is no amount of money that would make me support an absolute monarchy, Gary. You think it's funny, but it's not, man. It may as well be. It may as well be. When you talk like that, he may as well say he's the fourth Reich. You know what I'm saying? Is that funny?
Anything's funny. No, I'm not saying anything's funny. I don't like it that he said that.
So are you rebuking him? Do you reject Donald Trump then, Gary?
No, I do not. I think he's doing the best he possibly can, and I think he's going to make
best he can. He wrote like 70-some executive orders. He's got no. Where's his mega in Congress, Gary? Where is it already? He's got no power. He should be writing He should be signing legislation.
I think he's doing a fine job.
How's the market today, Gary? You think he's doing a good job on the market? You think the Dow likes what Donald Trump is doing?
Well, it goes up and it corrects itself. And then it goes up and it corrects
yeah, it does. I'll correct myself if I'm ever wrong. Man, hit me up for lunch. I appreciate it, Gary. Come back with us. Tell us something good. 855-752-4842. to the Dom Salvia Show. 855-752-4842. 855-757. Tell us something good, something good. Jay Ferguson playing Thunder Island live in the 70s. It's just amazing.
We needed to bring your blood pressure down just a little bit there.
So funny, so good, man. If you can have the passion and joy that Jay Ferguson shows when he's live playing that song back in
I'll
the day.
link that video into the show notes. It's worth the 3.5
And they do like
minutes.
an extra. He gets out with the cowbell. He does like an extra 4 verses, man. He's just throwing his chair, man. It's so good. It's so good. 855-752-4842. We love it. We want to end on something good. Tell us something good. Wisco Paul, you will be up. Tell us something good. Happy Friday, Paulie. What do you got?
Yeah, I need to do that after the Gary and you thing. It was kind of fun, though, listening to that. It was kind of cool. I know you like Madison because I've been out with you a few times in Madison.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, for me, something good is the Wisconsin men's basketball team. There's 18 teams in the Big Ten now, and a lot of good basketball teams there. And the Badgers are in third place there at 11-4. Overall, they're 21-5, which is really good.
Playing some good ball right now, Paulie.
Oh, yeah, and they're 11th ranked in the nation. And the thing that really makes me proud to say this is a Wisconsin native, Greg Gard, is their coach. And it wasn't too many years ago they wanted to get rid of him, and it's a good thing they didn't. So that's a great thing, at least for me, Wisco Paul is, because I get to go to the games every now and again because I'm not that far away. So to me, that's totally awesome. Anytime a Wisconsin basketball team is playing that good, that's just totally awesome. And it gets your mind off other things. So, all right, hey, this is an awesome show you had tonight. You and Jess are starting to really bond together here, and I like that. So, all right, Dom, you have a great week.
Yeah, thank you, Paulie. You too, man. Thanks for sharing. It's fun watching, and you're absolutely right to kind of step away from all the politics and the news and all the stuff, and just kind of lose yourself in some sports. Is enjoyable. Steph called. My wife says it's keep away. Oh, you're watching Keep Away. Football, basketball, and you're watching Keep Away again. Oh my God, you're watching a cooking show again. Oh, it's Keep Away. We got our things. 855-752-4842. Cam from Appleton, my old stomping grounds.
One of them.
What?
Hey, Cam, welcome. What do you got for us?
Thanks for taking my call, guys.
Yeah.
Happy Friday. I just finished up some code today for abilities in my game where I can make the player spawn explosions pretty much anywhere, and they can be any color, any kind of explosion. But what's really cool is that they work together with different elements, so you can combine like fire and cold ones, and they'll create a new element, or like cold and toxin, and they'll give everyone a virus. So, sorry, my dog.
So right, man, that's cool, man. I love the video games. I gave my daughter the Xbox when she went to college, and
I'm gonna go home and play some video games.
And so I got my VR, but it's not quite the same. I mean, it's fun. It's a lot of fun, but you can't play it as long. 855-752-4842. 855-75 Civic. Jess, you got something good for us?
Well, I am going to go home and play some video games, and I'm really looking forward to that. Aside from that, it was a beautiful day today.
It really warmed up.
It warmed up.
Yeah.
The sky was just the most gorgeous blue when I was driving in today. And, we got a little bit of a drive to get here, so I had a little bit of time to appreciate the sky.
Yeah.
What about you?
And it's been light since we've been leaving the
It's
studio.
been light?
Yeah, it's
incredible.
It's at 6 o'clock. It's still light out on the west as you look west. I was texting with my daughter recently, and she ended the text with, "Oh, Papa, I'm proud of you," with smiley face and hearts. I was like, "Oh, baby, no, I was supposed to say that to you. You're so sweet." So that was sweet. We have a little bit of time. Let's
We
throw
do,
out.
but we also have a texter.
Oh, go
Sarah
ahead.
from Green Bay
All
says
right.
something good is shipwreck stew that she's making and eating with her family tonight.
Nice.
What is shipwreck stew? Do you know what that
I
is?
do not, but I want to know now.
Sarah, tell us what shipwreck stew is, please.
Right. 855-752-4842. Let's do Bernie.
All right.
We had some sound of Bernie and JB Pritzker, but we ran out of time because I was ranting. Let's hear the
1 or
closing
6.
remarks. 6 from Bernie, please.
But that is not the perspective of the American people. We know,
Authoritarianism.
and we are proud of, the fact that the United States of America is the longest standing democracy in the world. We know that many hundreds of thousands of brave Americans over the years have fought and died to defend democracy. We also know that our allies in the world are those countries that believe in democracy, not authoritarianism. In this critical moment in our history, I hope that every American, regardless of political perspective, will stand tall and say yes to democracy, no to oligarchy, and no to authoritarianism. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bernie.
Senator Bernie Sanders. Love me some Bernie Sanders. The French Revolution, liberty, equality, fraternity. The American Revolution, right? Life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness. Not kings, not queens, not dictators, not authoritarianism, folks. Remember, man, get back to the basics. You should be offended by the rest of it. If you want authoritarianism, be careful what you wish for. Everyone thinks it's going to be against everybody else. That's not how it works. Folks, thank you so much for listening, for being a part, for hanging out with us. We'll be back next week with another fine round of shows, and I'm going to take off for a couple of days. We got some people standing in for us Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Jess, thank you so much for what you do and your help putting the show together. Now, folks, stick around. Pete Schwaber from Nightlight is coming up next. Happy Friday. We made it. We'll talk to you on Monday. Have a great weekend.